It's the Cam Show. It's powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. Zach. He's
That's
in
me.
with me. Yep. There's Zach. Glad to have Zach back. And we are talking about two of our favorite things, Zach, which is sports and entertainment.
That's very true.
And within that Venn diagram, the thing in the middle, sports with entertainment.
Where they overlap. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. In fact, before I get into this, I watched a good video yesterday on YouTube about the old show Playmakers, which I'm sure you watched.
I remember seeing a couple episodes. It was ESPN's foray into sports drama, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I heard that one was good. And I remember The Bronx is Burning, the miniseries they did on the 77 Yankees, which would have been in 07, right?
Didn't John, I'm blanking his name, play Billy Martin?
Yes,
though.
John Turturro.
Yeah.
And Oliver Platt was Steinbrenner. And I remember it being fairly good. It's never going to be Oscar winning or anything, but we've talked about the ESPN original movies before.
The Junction Boys.
Which is a totally different. That has got to be a segment. In fact, we should maybe do that before the end of this week.
Oh, okay. I'm
Those
down
are
for that.
incredible.
Tom Berenger is Bear Bryant.
That's great. And that's not even the worst one.
No.
It's not even close to the worst one, actually. But Netflix has followed around a couple of star players for the last NBA season. We've seen it in the NFL with quarterback and now receiver. They did sprint for the runners at the Olympics. And now they have done it with the NBA. It's called Starting Five.
Okay.
And if you're looking for 5 positions, you're not going to get that. Positionless basketball, this is a starting 5.
Okay.
Because the guys they followed around for the season, it's kind of interesting. 4 of them are like, okay, yeah, sure.
Okay. I'm ready
LeBron
for
James.
this. Oh, solid. That makes sense.
You might have heard of him.
Yeah. Star of Space Jam, too.
Correct. Yeah. Movie star, LeBron James, and that terrible one with Amy Schumer.
Trainwreck?
Trainwreck.
I don't know. There were breakout
Space Jam 2 was
parts
also
for LeBron James and John Cena, and then that was about it. That's
The
what
fact-
Trainwreck
when it's
was.
the 2 of them, when it's 2 of you and John Cena's the much better actor, that's a problem.
Wow.
That is a problem. So LeBron, Jimmy Butler,
Makes sense.
Jayson Tatum.
Makes sense.
I'll get to Jayson Tatum in a minute.
Okay.
The other one, which was Anthony Edwards.
Wow.
Good sound bites there. And, of course, if you're going to have anyone in the NBA to fall around their personal life, a great player with a ton of personality that you want to know more about, it is Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis is the polar bear in Arlington, Texas, of the Starting Five on Netflix.
He is. That's a solid analogy. Yeah, one of those things is not like the other. Not to discredit Domantas as a player, because he's a solid 4 or 5 in the league. I would say. I mean, he was an all-star at the position, I think, not too long ago.
Here's what I'll say. I'm excited about Domantas Sabonis.
Okay.
Sabonis is a good player, and he's
Very much so.
underrated because even still, the Kings were a playoff team last year. They weren't this year. And people still kind of discount Sacramento. Nobody cares. Nobody goes to the games. It's not a big market. And Domantas Sabonis is not like this huge budding personality that we know of. So I kind of do want to hear about Domantas Sabonis off the court. I'm interested in this. I'm interested in his life. First off, being a star in a city like Sacramento, which isn't much different from the city we're in right now in Waco. It's
weather might be a little better.
Yeah, it is. It does get very, very hot, like Waco.
Okay.
But unlike like Southern California. Just ask the Oakland A's. They'll be able to tell you next year. But he's a guy who is, very flown under the radar for a long time. Has some very good numbers. I mean, he's leads the league in rebounding.
I think he's close to averaging a triple-double for the season last year. I think he had 19 points, 13 boards, and 8 assists. Yeah.
Legit MVP buzz. He wasn't going to win it, but you're like, if there was a Heisman finalist and you send guys to New York for the MVP, he would be there.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm intrigued by Domantas Sabonis here.
I feel, and maybe it's just me not giving him credit, but he seems like a quiet guy. So to me, when you throw out all 4 of those, I can see, LeBron's going to be LeBron, obviously.
Correct.
I think Jimmy Buckets is always a bit entertaining in his own way. Same with the sound bites you're going to get from Anthony Edwards, as you brought up. I've heard just the Tyrese Halliburton stories of sitting next to the bench with him, like for Team USA. It's hilarious.
It sounds like when he was in that movie, Hustle.
Yes.
Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah,
that seems like actual Anthony Edwards.
For sure.
He'll talk some shit.
Yeah.
So I'm into that.
And then
so will Jimmy Butler.
And then of course I think, Tatum being Tatum, like out of all 5 of those, Sabonis to me seems like the quiet guy out of like, I just go to my hotel room and I watch a movie or I play video games and then I call it a night.
I go to the Sacramento Zoo.
On my day off.
Here. I'm willing to bet there are 10 45-minute episodes debuting October 9th.
Okay.
I'm willing to put money that there is an episode where Domantas Sabonis goes to the zoo. It for some reason, it just makes too much sense.
Is it more the bet of not if he goes, but like how early in the season of the show he goes, or if they like save it for like we got to save the cute animals for like midway through?
I think there's one where he's getting like a private tour of the zoo. I'm just putting it out there.
Okay.
Now let me talk about Tatum a little bit. Jayson Tatum, as someone I've defended for a long time, basically his whole career, because he's for some reason very divisive. Like people don't want to like Tatum. They don't want to like the Celtics, but it comes down to Tatum because he's the best player. And I went on a rant a few months ago on this program of if you're trying to say Jayson Tatum is a top 3 or 4 player in the league, then you're putting yourself in a hole. He's not that. He's like the 5th or 6th best player in the league. He's also not entertaining. They have tried to put a camera in the face of Jayson Tatum for years now. He's boring. That's okay, but he's vanilla. Like he's not. His whole thing is like trying to be like Kobe in a lot of ways. He really loves Kobe. In fact, he just won the NBA title, like literally the greatest thing that you can win in this sport. And he got a tattoo of the All-Star Game MVP because it's Kobe Bryant, the Kobe Bryant trophy.
Gotcha.
So it's like, is he corny? Yes. I think people go too far with it, but he is corny. He is pretty vanilla. He's just, it was like Brady during his career. Yeah. Like you tried to make Brady into like this folksy, we need to know everything about him guy, and we kind of know everything about him.
Yeah.
He just doesn't move the needle like these other guys. So I am willing to bet, because the only reason I'm not throwing him out there as the most boring guy on the show is because we don't even know Domantas Sabonis. But Tatum is going to be pretty boring. LeBron is not a huge needle mover. He's the second best player ever to play. And he's corny too in a different way.
But I think people would tune in for LeBron.
Right. The way they would for Brady.
Yeah.
Because they're the best. They're the best at this.
So you're saying, okay, so like just Tatum, anything that involves like Jordan or Kobe, like you're tuning in just because this is the best player at that time.
Right.
Okay.
And so that we put to the back burner that they're not entertaining. Right? Like, I mean, I could name 15 football players more entertaining to follow around than Tom Brady.
Oh, for sure.
But Brady's my guy. Brady's the best ever. You know what I mean? So I think that's going to be that way with Tatum. You're just going to be like, oh, it's the Tatum life. Oh, did you know he had a son? Yeah, I know he has a son. He's at every game. His mom was a single mom. Did you know that? Yeah, we've heard that a lot. He looked up to Kobe. Yup, we know. We saw the text. We saw the tattoo. It's like, I don't think we're going to learn anything about Tatum, and I don't know that we're going to get the cool sound bites. We're not going to get anything revolutionary from him during a game the way, like, we'll hear Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, no, you're not.
Butler
you're not going to hear Anthony,
like, that's what we're looking for.
Oh, for sure. You're not going to hear Jayson Tatum, tell somebody on the bench, man, he pulled up and hit that from Yucatan, like you would from, like, I think that's the Tyrese Halliburton story that he told on the Paul George podcast. Maybe some of it is, like, and this is just me trying to play devil's advocate.
Please.
Is obviously, as a big Celtics fan, you know more about, I would say, Tatum
true.
than the rest of the NBA. Maybe this is more for just casual NBA, and Netflix is thinking, oh, the Celtics just won the title. Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Jayson Tatum's probably the bigger star of the two. Granted, they shot this up obviously before that, but still, their thought is like, it's a big market team in the Celtics, and that's their big star.
And I think there is, if I'm not mistaken, and I should have double-checked this, I think there was cameras from some streaming service following the Celtics all year long for the Celtics. But now that I hear this, it might have just been for Tatum. But, like, I think the Celtics were being followed all season long, too. So it's like, I am a huge Celtics fan.
Mhm.
I will take a lot of it. But it's like, at one point, is it, like, too much Celtics?
No, I get
For a
that.
team that's just not, like, they don't have internal feuds. They don't have big personalities. They're just, their personalities being a really good basketball team.
Yeah. But,
Like, you know?
I think that some people maybe like that. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of this
They're
stuff.
not like the 86 Mets.
No,
You know,
no.
They're not partying and doing coke in the dugout or whatever.
Or even some of like the '90s Cowboys. Just read
Sure,
a
that's a
read a
good
Jeff
example.
Pearlman book, and you'll
Yeah.
find a team that was like that. But maybe it's for those people that don't like the drama. Like maybe sometimes I like to. I have to think that there's people out there. They're like, you know what? I just want to see guys just like play basketball the right way. Like, you know, that kind of, that's the mindset they have.
Are you going to tune into 10 45-minute episodes for that, though?
No, but they're going to be like, man, I really like how Jayson Tatum just comes and does work. It's the same thing they said. Well, I'm just saying, it's the same thing that everybody was like, man, that quarterback show, like, Patrick Mahomes, I get to see a little bit about him. But, man, that Kirk Cousins guy, he sits there and he puts in the work every day, and he's, you know,
I guess
riding all his
there's something
fans
to, like,
back and
a
stuff like that.
duality too, right?
Yeah. You got to balance it out in a sense.
So who is the one you're most? I'm bleeding here, so I'm gonna throw a question at you. Who is the one of the five that you're most excited, like that you're actually into
So
hearing
out
about
of those
seeing
five,
seeing?
personally, I've always been a Jimmy Butler fan, so I wouldn't mind just following him around. But I think that Anthony Edwards is going to be the most entertaining.
He's gonna steal the show.
Oh, for sure.
He's absolutely gonna steal the show.
He just has so much personality that it's going to be hard to hold it back.
And it's honestly, it's to steal such an old man thing, but it's great for basketball.
Oh, for sure.
Because
100%.
there's so much about the NBA, specifically the last like 10, 15 years of like, okay, I'm not saying you can't be friends with the guys on the other team, but do we need like the 15-part handshakes after you just played them for a game, or like Jaylen Brown, after the finals ended, went up to Luka and was like, "You got the best out of me. I love you, bro." And Luka's like, "I love you too." It's like, what is this? What, like, you know what I mean? There is still some aspect of you want
the players to have that Deacon Jones mentality of like,
kinda.
I'm not helping you up. Like, you know, I'm here to kill you.
And I think all fans want that. Deep down, all fans want that. Most fans don't care if they're friends or not. Like, I don't really care, but sometimes, like every once in a while, I'll see that where there's like a huge deliberate handshake or something like that going on, or they're hugging and kissing. Kyrie, after getting knocked out of the finals, after losing the title, and Kyrie is like in the game going to everyone on the Celtics bench and like dapping them up. Like, this is weird. This is a weird thing. You don't need to do that. Like, you know what I mean? And I get on Kyrie a lot, but it's like, I don't need to see that to know that you're a good person. So all that to say, Anthony Edwards brings the shit talking and the real competitiveness, and we're going to love that. I'm intrigued about Domantas Sabonis, though, just because he could be the most boring one on there, but I don't know.
I'm thinking we need to take bets on when they go to the Sacramento Zoo at this point. Episode 3.
2.
Oh, okay. I'm going 3.
Over under 2.5.
Yeah.
So I'll take the under.
And I'll take the over.
Okay, perfect. I do want to mention this because it's being produced by a company called Uninterrupted.
Okay.
With an executive producer being Maverick Carter. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yeah, I have.
LeBron's business partner. By the way, Uninterrupted is co-founded by LeBron James. I always love a good documentary that the executive producer is one of the freaking subjects in it. I love that. By the way, Brady did that too.
Yeah.
Man in the Arena, and it petered out. It stunk. How about this for some other executive producers?
But doesn't Maverick Carter also do like he's the executive producer on the Barbershop show and all? Correct. He does that too.
Correct.
Which some episodes are good and some are okay. It just depends on the guests on a lot of that, but good.
I find LeBron to be annoying. I just kind of always have. He seems like a good guy. You know what I mean? He's not evil. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I've just always found him pretty boring, corny and boring. Anyway, other producers, executive producers on the project. Peyton Manning.
Okay.
Not sure why. And if you're not sure why Peyton Manning is an executive producer, how about these for the last 2 EPs?
Okay.
Former President Barack Obama and his wife, Michelle Obama.
Okay. See, here's what's going to sound weird.
What? What?
I get it. Well, I know that
this thing of like celebrities getting into media, whether it's podcast or shit like this, it's like, why?
But see, here's the thing though too about like the executive producer title.
Could you imagine, by the way, running the episode of Domantas Sabonis at the zoo? Like, Barack, what do you think, Mr. President?
I don't think he's sitting there watching all the episodes.
What do you think about this? And Obama's just like, I really don't like the needle drop here. I don't think this is a good song for Domantas Sabonis. He's like talking about like editing techniques on there. I think that'd be great.
I'm telling you, he releases his.
I think it would really speak more volumes if we didn't see Anthony in this scene. And I'm like, yeah, Barack, you've got a great point there. Could you imagine that's in the editing process?
See, I don't think that's in the editing process at all. Fine. I think like EPs are kind of just like, it's funny to think. And honestly,
it's just there to get a split of it.
Yeah, he releases his playlist every year. So, I mean, he's got to be decent when it comes to the music maybe, but I don't know about anything else in there. When it comes, I think that we're
still like pretending like that Obama's this like basketball like analyst almost. Like he's a basketball fan.
He is, but out of the presidents, he's the closest you're going to get. Like
probably,
that's the thing.
Yeah, probably. I hate when politicians pretend to be sports fans.
But it's the same
which
thing.
Obama did do for baseball, by the way.
Yeah, which he's more of a basketball guy, and George Bush is your baseball guy.
Yes, owned the team.
Yeah, he did, and honestly, was the only one who voted for the Rangers not to be in the American League West, which makes sense time zone wise.
Big time.
But I don't know. I think EPs are kind of thrown around. It's them just like pursuing things. The thing that I don't, or that you brought up Peyton Manning. And so I wonder if this is the same production team that has in a way worked on those other documentaries then too. Like that maybe is why I mean, I feel like Uninterrupted, like this isn't their first one. But I don't know if they've worked. That's not the same one that's worked on the quarterback or it's not the same group.
No, probably not. No.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll watch it.
I will too. I have to see when the pandas show up at the Sacramento Zoo.
Yes, we will need to pay attention to that. There's also, speaking of sports and entertainment, we're going to get a little bit of both in this next segment because the greatest sequel that was never made, we discovered this morning. And we will bring that to you next on The Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. Cam Show. Rogue Media Sports Network. Zach.
Still here.
Zach Burke. Still here. Still here. You got to feel like 50 Cent, man. Still here, man.
Mm-hmm.
He got hit like I got hit, but he ain't fucking breathing.
Many men wish death upon me.
Get Rich or Die Trying. Not a great movie.
No. Solid album, though.
I almost watched Notorious the other day.
Really? See, I've never seen that one. I watched.
It's seen as pretty bad. I always thought it was, like, fine.
Okay.
It's not great, but it's fine. I like Derek Luke.
Okay,
and he plays
solid.
Diddy in it.
Yeah, well, Derek Luke is a good actor. I always have a problem with like some of those like music biopic things because especially when like somebody's dead, they never really are, and it seems like the liberties they take on some of it. Like I'm interested to see. Granted, he's not dead. This whole Timothée Chalamet Bob Dylan movie because I don't know.
What about the kid from The Bear doing Bruce Springsteen?
We'll see. I don't like. That's the thing. It's like none of these like get me super excited.
But you know what movie is universally seen as pretty good? Is Forrest Gump.
For the most part, yeah.
Did that win Best Picture? That was that loaded 94 year, and I think that
it was. I think so. I can look that up.
Over Shawshank and Pulp Fiction. But everyone but my girlfriend has seen Forrest Gump. It's one of my mom's favorite movies. And it should be one that everyone should watch once. It's actually a pretty good history lesson. It's like watch that and listen to We Didn't Start the Fire. You don't need to do that. Like you're good on the Cold War era from there. But I mean, we've also once you've seen it once, I've seen it probably 10 times. You don't really need to see much after that. But we almost got more Forrest. We were very close to getting more Forrest, and you told me about this today, Zach. About the near Forrest Gump sequel. Yes. Because there is a second book, right?
There is a second book.
And we almost got the sequel.
We did almost get the sequel.
Movie.
So
Forrest Gump 2, this time it's personal.
Electric Boogaloo. Yeah.
2 Forrest, 2 Gump.
So Forrest Gump the movie is based off of a book written by Winston Groom back in 1986.
Who could forget?
The movie itself.
I honestly didn't even know until today that it was based off
really?
a book.
Well,
I'm not stunned by it. But I didn't know
So the movie came out in 94.
Mhm.
The sequel, the book sequel, came out in 95. So
makes sense.
We
Cash
don't
grab,
know
yeah.
if it's it could be just based off the popularity of the movie. Could be something he set on for a while and was like, oh, now that it's so popular, I can go, whatever it may be. And it's a sequel called Gump and Co. Like Gump and Company.
Okay, so the Grateful Dead have stolen that from the
Forrest Gump.
people.
Yeah. So essentially
Gump and Co.
Gump and Co. or Forrest Gump and Co. if you And so what it does is the movie on the book, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go through and read you the plot of this thanks to Wikipedia, which is going to summarize it up for me really well. But essentially the last book, since it came out in 86, leaves us off with Forrest in the mid 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a continuation of his life through the 80s and some into the 90s then.
Okay.
We actually start. Should we explain? No, I'll save it for then. So we start with the plot here. In 1980, the shrimp market has exploded, right?
Big time.
Big time.
If you don't remember, Forrest Gump is big in the shrimp game.
Very much big into the shrimp game. Bubba Gump Shrimp is a shrimping company.
Yeah, baby. You ever been to one of those?
I haven't. I've seen one. Like we went to Galveston a couple years ago, and there's one on that the boardwalk there. And
Galveston should have good seafood.
yeah.
Bubba Gump should be in Kansas, where you can't get
How do you get seafood to Kansas? That's the thing that
it should,
the center
be
of the
Long John Silver's though. You know what I mean?
fair
That's
enough.
what it should be. Anyway.
So it's exploded, and Forrest can't keep up with the demand of all the just the shrimp explosion that's happened in the 80s.
How could you?
So, adding to his troubles, Lieutenant Dan has sold off all of his shares of Bubba Gump Shrimp.
Mm-hmm.
And he's decided that he's leaving, and Bubba Gump Shrimp Company eventually goes under. So
we see the rise and fall.
We
of the
see the
shrimp
rise
industry.
yeah, exactly.
It's like The Big Short, but for shrimp.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But to make ends meet then, since Forrest no longer has the company, he decides to be a janitor at a strip club.
I'm in.
Okay.
All right. You got me now.
Let's
You've hooked me now.
picture Tom Hanks and all this while we're doing
Those
it. Obviously.
ladies are naked.
Exactly.
Put your clothes on. He's running up there like he did with Jenny.
Jenny, when she while he's
Can
there.
we even do those jokes anymore?
I don't.
Are we
think so.
allowed to? I'm making fun of Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
I think we're allowed to.
I don't know. It's brought up in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
So, while he's working at the strip club, he meets a former college football teammate. I'm assuming from Alabama, where he played.
Yeah. Did he hit the portal at all during it?
I don't think so.
I think he started at UAB or something and portaled to Bama.
I've always wondered how much eligibility he had left, but it doesn't matter because the teammate tells him, "Hey, I'll get you a tryout with the New Orleans Saints." So Forrest is concerned that he's kind of lost some of his running ability with how old he's gotten and everything else he's done, like gone to war, won ping pong titles, and
Which I will say, I think this is intriguing that he needs to be discovered as a strip club janitor because this guy was an All-American.
Yeah.
He was the best kick returner in the country. No one could fucking stop this guy. He was unstoppable. And he still had to go to war. No team was like, no, please. The Chicago Bears were like, no, please just join on. You won't have to go to war.
I mean,
he just fell into complete obscurity. He also ran across the country. No one even mentioned that he was a former Alabama football All-American.
That's
played
the thing.
for Bear Bryant.
He ran across the country after everything,
Yeah.
but before he starts. So I don't know. I would feel like he'd think, man, maybe I'm kind of in the best shape I've been in a while.
Oh, I could make money playing football.
Kind of like
that thought never crossed his mind.
No.
And he needs to be discovered again as a strip club janitor. Bear Bryant wasn't making calls like, "Hey man, you should really track this kid down." I mean, you saw him on TV, you saw him in the Cotton Bowl. He ran 3 touchdowns back on kickoffs. That's what I love. He was a fucking machine. He was an All-American, and he needs to be discovered now to get the lowly New Orleans Saints
to get him.
To give him a tryout, give him a shot.
So he decides to take it to help, make money for his family. And for a while, he is able to help the team kind of in the rankings. Like he kind of pulls them up.
In the rankings.
But
Top
that's how it says. That's what it says in the Wikipedia thing. But it says, but he got cut. So Forrest gets cut because he cannot make a game due to Jenny's death and her subsequent funeral.
Okay, two things come to mind right away.
Yeah.
First off, Jenny is dead by the end of the first movie, so that's a tough one.
We would have had to switch that somehow for the movie from the book.
That's a tough one. Second, leave it to Goodell, man. This would have been Paul Tagliabue.
Yeah.
Leave it to the freaking NFL, those Nazis, man. They say, "Oh, your baby mama died. You have a funeral to go to." Well, we're playing the Arizona Cardinals, dipshit. You need to play. And then if not, you're gone. I don't care if you're the best kick returner in the league and we suck and you're the only reason why we're good. You are gone. If
you've helped us climb the rankings to this point. You know, if you're not going to help us keep climbing, you can get off the team. So it also says that Jenny's mother,
well thought out, yeah.
Jenny's mother is also in poor health. So Forrest resolves to earn money to support his son, Forrest Jr., who only recently became aware that Forrest is his actual father. Again,
clearly, the Gump brains are running down in the family. Forrest Jr. has just discovered that his father is a guy named Forrest who he lives with.
Well, maybe.
I imagine he's young, but
maybe he thinks like, Mom just named me after this dude.
Oh,
you never know. It says that, now unemployed, Forrest sells encyclopedias door to door.
Okay.
He helps create the infamous New Coke, and he also operates a pig farm.
By the way, so yes, this is after he gets cut by the Saints.
Yeah.
Like the Cincinnati Bengals don't take a shot.
No. Nobody wants to pick him back up.
The Seahawks don't take a flyer.
They don't like the kind of attitude. If he's not
the
committed
Toronto
to football,
Argonauts, like how has he slipped through twice now?
Isn't the
in his football career?
We're in the mid to late '80s. Isn't the Jim Kelly, the San Antonio Gunslingers, Gamblers? Sorry, isn't the USFL thing coming up right at the time?
84-85. So it's probably done by then.
Okay. I was just thinking maybe you think somebody would find him.
But somebody, man. He's the best kick returner in college football, and from what we're hearing, arguably one of the best in the National Football League. He gets cut for going to a funeral. We just expected he's blackballed by the entire league.
Yep.
He went to a funeral.
He's not committed to the game, so nobody wants him on their team. So
that's what I love. First off, let's get into New Coke. How does it explain how he gets into New Coke?
So I'm just looking at the Wikipedia explanation.
This is like in regular Forrest Gump, where you're just like, okay, all of this has become a stretch.
Yeah,
this has become a major stretch here.
Along with selling encyclopedias door to door, creating New Coke, and operating a pig farm, it says, which all end in disaster.
Well, New Coke definitely ends in disaster.
So then,
and oh man, could you imagine though? You know who the spokesperson was for New Coke? Could you imagine Forrest on the set with Bill Cosby in the New Coke commercials? They said this was a bad man. They said keep the girls away from him. I thought he was a nice man.
Well, yeah.
That would have been fucking incredible.
Well,
there's a great when does the IP when does it become, what do you call that, free reign or whatever?
Oh, the public domain?
Public domain.
Dude, it usually is like 75 years or something like that.
Because like Winnie the Pooh just became one.
Yeah,
so
like Batman's going to become one in a couple years.
Man,
like, yeah.
I'm going to so I'll be in my 70s then.
Yeah.
Because it came out 3 years before I was born, and the book, I guess, 10 years. Whatever. It's going to be a long time. I would love to make
this movie,
Forrest Gump 2, as a comedy.
Well,
like a pure comedy. I know there's some funny parts in Forrest Gump, but that's great.
So once it says at Union Station in Washington, Forrest sees a homeless handicapped man who says he's Lieutenant Dan.
Whoa.
Who had fallen in with those who took advantage of him and absconded with his retirement money, leaving him bankrupt.
This Lieutenant Dan, when will you learn, Lieutenant Dan?
So here's the thing.
Womp womp.
Lieutenant Dan, obviously, I'm just thinking in the movie, he shows up at Forrest's wedding, and he has the prosthetic legs, and it looks like he's married. Like, Lieutenant Dan has got his life together in the movie, not so much in the book sequel.
Which, again, if we're doing canon here, we're doing timeline, he's got his stuff together by the time Forrest is cut by the Saints.
Yeah.
So obviously
Movie-wise.
this could be a couple years later, but he's got a life. He's got it put together before, and this is before he's made even more money selling off the shares.
That's true.
If
I
we're
guess
trying to put this
if we're
all in
trying to put it
perspective
all
here.
together, but
It's almost impossible to piss this all away in this short time frame and be homeless in Union Station. But it seems like Lieutenant Dan has once again outdone himself.
Unless if after he leaves the wedding, the woman he was with might be the one who absconds with his retirement.
Could be.
And so that's what causes the downhill.
Maybe he was a ghost this whole time.
Ooh. That's better than it was all a dream.
Lieutenant Dan died in Vietnam.
And then you find out, yeah.
But he's been my guardian angel.
So on top of that, Dan has now become half blind. Forrest, not wishing to see Dan homeless, says they will work something out. So Forrest soon meets with a Marine colonel who recruits Forrest into a clandestine mission to Iran.
What?
They meet with Ronald Reagan on the mission
This is
itself.
working it out. Oh, he meets another president. Okay.
Yeah, they meet with.
He was in a I thought he was a movie star.
They meet with the Ayatollah Khomeini.
Jesus.
The mission is discovered, and everyone disavows responsibility except for Forrest, who is jailed.
He's jailed in Iran.
Yes.
Oh my God. Is he going to become like an Iranian nationalist? Is he going to become some terrorist or something?
I haven't. See, here's the thing. I stopped reading after we decided to do this segment, so I'm on the edge of my seat with you here
This is incredible. We are running long, but this is unbelievable. I'm thinking about him being a terrorist for my film.
See?
Not all people from Iran are terrorists.
Sometime later, Forrest and other prisoners are eligible for a work release program to which they are put under a religious rehabilitation. At Holy Land is what this place is called.
I'm sorry. Is this like to make him Muslim?
I assume so. That's what it makes it sound like in here.
By the way, real life, they found this out. American spies or whatever on this mission. They kill them. They would like behead them on a live stream. This was no. We'll just make him Muslim. We'll be fine. That leads me to believe they're making him into an extremist.
Well.
He's such a weapon.
He's in this program along with John Hinckley Jr.
Wait a minute. Where does this come from?
Where he accidentally exposes Jim Baker's affair with his secretary.
What?
As in like the televangelist.
Yeah, but what? Like what?
I don't know. I'm just reading you
become an agent of good here.
Forrest
John Hinckley.
Forrest
doing shows.
Then works with Ivan Boesky and Michael Milken on Wall Street, where he and his son meet a young actor there while shooting Big. No. That's right. Forrest Gump meets Tom Hanks in the sequel.
Oh, Jesus.
Who makes...
When did Big come out? That's only like 96, 98, right?
Or 80? It's in the 80s.
I was thinking it might be even...
But who the actor makes remarks such as "Life is like a box of chocolates." 88. So we're at 88 now in the movie or in the book. It says who makes
2 years at most, and all this has happened. Okay,
which fails to impress them. After sleeping with his attractive secretary, Forrest is visited by Jenny's ghost.
What? This is awesome. So Forrest is still getting some.
Yeah.
He's getting gas here. All right, it's about time.
But he's haunted now by Jenny's
not with
ghost,
AIDS.
Who is worried about Forrest, not on the account of the affair, but because he has not questioned why he has been getting lots of money to simply sign papers.
That bitch.
So Jenny shows up and she's like, I don't care. I don't care that you're, sleeping with other women. It's just, you got to wonder, this money you're getting, all you're getting is just for signing these papers. Like, what's going on? Sure enough, he is set up to be the fall guy for their schemes, but his trial is disrupted by news of a crash. He's later met by 2 MPs who tell him that due to an error in being medically released while in Vietnam, his enlistment has yet to expire, and he is back on active duty. He is taken to from New York to a remote post in Alaska while his son stays behind.
What the fuck?
Forrest considers Alaska, a nice change of pace from the superficiality of Manhattan, but ends up accidentally wrecking the Exxon Valdez after a drunken night with an old friend. In the environmental hoopla that ensues, the Army the Army kind of forces Forrest out of the States and decides to quit his involvement, as court-martialing a Medal of Honor recipient would look bad. Forrest is then assigned to the reputed work job in the Army, cleaning mud off tank treads in West Germany.
What on God's green fucking earth is this?
I just got a couple more paragraphs here.
Oh my God, it's not done?
No. Forrest, so I'll just read through it pretty quick. Forrest also meets an attractive blonde woman named Gretchen who works in a beer hall. Originally from East Germany, Gretchen was spirited to the West, but her family still remains in the Soviet zone.
Because it's 88.
And Gretchen
89.
they start dating, but when Forrest suggests buying little Forrest an Oompa horn, don't know what that is, Gretchen thinks he cannot afford such a gift on a private salary and suggests better rapport could be built through writing letters explaining his situation in Germany. I guess writing letters back to Forrest Jr. I don't know. This explanation isn't making a lot of sense.
He's abandoned his kid a couple times at this point.
When Forrest's background in pro football is discovered, he gets recruited for the unit's football team. During a game, Forrest punts the ball, which flies over the Berlin Wall, causing another turn of events where people in both East and West Berlin start breaking the wall with sledgehammers. Forrest is deployed for the Persian Gulf War, where he is reunited with Lieutenant Dan. His tank crew captures Saddam Hussein. Norman Schwarzkopf is shocked at this. While privately praising such initiative, he remarks that they got all of them in trouble with President Bush, as it was not in the orders to get Saddam, and orders Saddam to be returned. They do so, taking Saddam to the outskirts of Baghdad. However, right afterwards, they are hit by friendly fire. Forrest flees to safety, but not Lieutenant Dan, who says his time has come, like all of his ancestors who died in American War. So in this one, Lieutenant Dan dies in the Gulf War. Last paragraph. Forrest starts harvesting oysters and builds it into a very successful business with the help of Forrest Jr. and his old contacts. While thinking about investing the proceeds, he meets Bill and Hillary Clinton at Whitewater.
Of course.
The final chapter deals with Forrest arguing with Forrest Jr., who is taken up to adolescent rebellion by clandestinely drinking beer, and Forrest Sr. laying down the law in an old-fashioned way.
And Forrest Jr.'s like, how do all these people that know the Clintons just magically unalive themselves? Dad, open your eyes. He's just really anti-Clinton. That'd be great.
Forrest gets one final visit from Jenny saying that he has set their son straight and that she likes that German girl, implying that she is ready to cross over to heaven. Forrest marries Gretchen, and his story gets put into film. Now let's talk about the canceled film adaptation.
Yes, please. Because what could possibly bring a film this great down?
A sequel had been in works due to the success of the first book and film. Screenwriter Eric Ross submitted a script for the sequel on September 10th, 2001.
Oh, no.
But after the September 11th attacks, there was a sense that the world had changed and that the plot of Gump & Co. was no longer relevant. The project ended up languishing in development hell. In 2022, this was my favorite part.
That's like something that would happen to Forrest Gump, by the way.
For sure.
I've written this movie in September 10th, 2001, and then the next day we can't do it anymore. I love that their idea was like, we can't make a movie anymore.
No,
we can't do movies
not
anymore.
This one. In 2022, Tom Hanks said that the second film was never seriously considered, noting discussions lasted all of 40 minutes. I love this. He expressed gratitude that he was never contractually obligated to do another film. I've always said,
wanted no part of this shit.
I've always said, guys, if there's a reason to do it, let's do it. But you guys can't force me. There isn't that natural inclination that is one of the pure commerce that says, hey, you just had a hit, so do it again and you'll have a hit, which is a solid point.
I think there's a world where there is a Forrest Gump 2. It's not this, but like there's a world where it's Forrest Jr. and an old Tom Hanks for half the movie.
That makes more sense.
I could absolutely see that. And
But
he like Forrest Jr. ends up he's taking a trip around the world in
a hot air balloon
in late 2019, and he's in Wuhan, China, and like here we go again. Well, and he ends up at a Trump rally in 2024, and he talks like his dad, by the way. There's a guy with a big airsoft gun on the roof, and then the president, then they go after Trump, and it's like I can see it. I can see the wheels in motion.
Well, it's like the second one is because I saw it in a review of a book, or the review of the book, where they talk about they took all the advantageous situations from the first book that made it like fun and heartfelt, and made it all disadvantageous situations of where he's just screwing everything up for book 2. He caused the Exxon Valdez oil spill because he was drunk.
That's incredible. That's a good lesson for you kids.
Yeah,
that movie needs to happen at some point. That movie needs to happen.
He's got to bring the New Orleans Saints up in the rankings.
God, up in the rankings.
He punted a ball over the Berlin Wall that led to its downfall.
They're playing so close to the wall, and he is so good at punting because
the best.
Well, I won't mention why. He's very good and has a lot of strength, but it so happens to be over the Berlin Wall. That's so fucking great. Oh, Zach, thank you for bringing that into my life. Problem. I can't believe I didn't know about that. I had heard that there was a second one because I remember Hanks did that interview. But my God, that's incredible. That would be the best sequel ever made. Godfather 2, never heard of her. There's someone who's coming on next that loves sequels, one sequel in particular. I asked her to name her top 3 movies, and 2 of them were from the same series. So I can't wait to introduce you to one of the new members of our Rogue Media family. We're going to get to know her next on The Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. I like to throw that out there for people who haven't been on with me before.
Perfect. Okay.
Chances are.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Are you ready, Aubrey?
I am ready.
I promise. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. Do you
I
need
am
water
ready.
or anything?
I'm good.
Okay. It'll probably be like 15 minutes.
Okay. Perfect.
And you're good, Zach. You're good. You've got me. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm the newest face on the Rogue Media Sports Network. And that is Aubrey Barton. Aubrey, how have you enjoyed your time here in the famous Colt Brennan Memorial Studio?
Oh, I have just loved it. It's been an honor. It's really exciting. A lot of new things. Learning a lot, and I'm really enjoying it. I really am. Love being in the Alico. I think it's super cool to be here. Learning a lot. So yeah, I'm really glad to be here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your go-to dance move?
Oh, go-to dance move. Probably the gritty.
Okay.
You got to go with the gritty.
I had to learn how to do that for a wedding this summer.
That's so funny. Yeah.
It was really bad.
Classic gritty, you know.
That's good. I'm doing the random question generator, and these all suck. So, I do want to ask about your podcast, though, because that's why we're having you here.
Okay,
You're starting a new pod
definitely.
on the Sports Network. And tell me what it's called and what you're going for with it.
Okay, so basically, it's going to be called Beyond the Game. Just generally, interviewing athletes about their lives on and off the field, as just being a college athlete, what comes with it, how you feel on the field versus off the field, just life in general.
Peek behind the curtain a little bit.
Okay.
That's what you're going for, like
right.
A peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Just getting very real about lives off the field. Because always being a college athlete, you always hear about what's going on the field. Their lives on the field, but you don't really get into the nitty gritty of their life off the field. So I think, that's really going to be really interesting, really fun to play around with, just seeing the lives, you're not just a college athlete, you're a human too, so basically, just the human side of sports,
Yeah.
Just basically that. So yeah, really excited.
And did you play sports growing up?
So I actually did. I was a cheerleader, so I cheered for all sports,
okay.
and clearly I told you we've discussed, I went to Permian, and so
yes,
big
this
Friday,
is a big part of
big
this.
Friday
yes.
Night Lights fan. Grew up, just the culture, everything, traditions, Friday Night Lights, big deal. Coming from Odessa.
That's
football.
like a big universal thing you could throw out there.
Yeah.
Like anywhere you go, you could do one fun
Right.
fact about yourself. Yeah, I was a cheerleader for the
Right.
Permian Panthers.
And that's so
People
funny.
know what that is.
Right. When I got to Baylor, first question, oh, yeah, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, well, let me see how I explain this. I'm from Odessa, but have you watched Friday Night Lights, the football movie? You get mostly yeses. Some are like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, but if you get it,
Yeah.
And so big Friday Night Lights, a big part of it, just cheering and doing all that, big painting signs.
You've been around like big time sports.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's been an honor, just being able to represent that, being able to say I came from Friday Night, like the school Permian Friday Night Lights. It's a really big deal,
And you're still going with it with the all black look today.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I'm always going with it with the all black outfits. That's me every single day. But yeah, big Mojo fan. Go Mojo. Mojo Magic. It's real, Friday Night Lights. Big deal. High school football, a lot of fun. So yeah, it really just got me into my taste of sports and, wanting to do that and pursue it as a career. And so I'm really excited for it, definitely. So
I'm going to ask about that too.
Yeah,
the Permian
absolutely.
thing again, because I'm a huge Friday Night Lights
Right.
fan. Fan of both the book and the movie. I
Yes.
know the people of Odessa are not huge fans of the book, and I get it. I totally get it.
I actually haven't read the book, so that'll have to
They
be
probably
something
don't
I'll
let
have
you.
to
They probably
do.
ban it.
Yeah,
there. I'm sure. I don't. I
It's
don't
funny
think you're allowed
because
to buy it.
I didn't even know there was a book. So
Yeah, it's
you learned something new.
It's pretty honest. It's
Really?
a Yankee coming down to the Permian Basin and
Oh, okay.
throwing his thoughts out
Real
there. It's
interesting.
it's really
Yeah.
it's a well written book.
I
think it's really
bet.
good. But the movie takes a bit of a more positive spin, but also
Yeah,
trying
for
to keep it real.
sure.
So that's at least what I think. So I wanted to
Right.
ask you,
Definitely.
how accurate? I mean, I know it's based in '88, but
Absolutely.
in terms of the community and how it relates to the football team, it's kind of this myth around the world of Texas high school football.
Mm-hmm.
How much does that ring true to you?
I'd say it's pretty much to a T. It's real.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say, everything you see in that tradition, like you see in the movie, like the traditions about it, just I wish there were more words I could describe for just like being in the culture and everything. Like I'd say the movie is to a T of what, you see about Permian, you see a Friday Night Lights. I feel like that's very spot on. Everything you see in the movie is pretty true to what you get, going to school there, being a Permian fan. It's like you're a fan for Permian, you're a fan for life, My mom has had season tickets, front row season tickets for the last probably, I'd say 28 years.
Wow.
Tickets passed down from my grandparents to us, and so my mom still has them. She lets people use them now because she clearly doesn't have anyone to go watch there, but occasionally she'll go to a game or so, and the traditions never change. Well, we talked about the sign paintings and the blow
for the team
ups.
to run through,
Yeah, so actually it's so funny. The cheerleaders have to paint those signs, and so every Saturday we were up there painting signs for the following week. And throughout the week of school, we'd find times to go paint those signs in the big gym and everything. And it really is so surreal. There's not really anything like I don't know. There's just nothing like it. It's just a really amazing feeling. Just super cool to be around, and you don't realize how cool it is to be a part of that. How special it is until you're out and you're past, like you've grown up and you're like, okay, this is cool, like this is a big deal. So you don't really realize in the moment, but it's just.
Has anyone thrown out this theory about your mother? Okay, you said 28 years. That'll put us back in '96, roughly.
Right,
28 years, right. Permian last made the state final in '95.
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone thrown out the theory that your mom is the bad luck charm for Mojo? Is there negative mojo going on?
That is too funny. Actually, probably so.
I'm just throwing out the numbers.
No,
here.
that is so real. It's actually funny because my mom, you can see her and my grandparents in the live footage on the movie,
Really?
sitting in the front, in the stands, and it's just so funny because it's like, I don't know, she might be the bad luck. She might be the bad luck. One thing.
The playing field ain't even anymore. But
I know.
also,
One thing, even since I've known Permian and been a Permian fan, it's always we're just a 2-round playoff team. Second round playoff team. We never make it past the second round.
For those who don't follow the Texas high school football and is wondering why that is, in the second round you get matched up with a team from the Metroplex.
And that's so very true.
And as great as Texas high school football is,
it's hard
I don't
to
want to
compete.
get too down this, but DFW, Houston, and a little bit of Austin, that's where most of the champions come from, especially the big schools.
And it's just hard to compete. It really, really is. No shame to Permian. I think the best thing for Permian would be for them to move down to 5A.
Yeah.
Me personally, I've always thought that there needs to be another high school in that town. I think there needs to be a third high school, but again,
they would both kind of slot into a 7A
right.
if they got to that,
and
see, High is a little bit bigger.
Tradition there. They have tried to get another high school. People shut it down, not happening. People like Permian and they like the other high school, like they like to call it Odessa High. No shame.
Yeah.
But, it's just one of those things. People are very traditional, don't like to change around there. And so I get it. I like tradition too. But best thing would be for them to step down, I'd say, to a little bit smaller division. Right. But that's my piece, and who knows? I don't know. But
what's an unpopular opinion you have other than that one?
Oh, unpopular opinion. Man, I might have a few. I don't know.
Okay.
That's a tough one. Unpopular opinion.
Like I mean, maybe it's a movie that like everyone likes and you're just like, I don't get it.
Oh, okay. This is not just Permian. This is just in general unpopular
right.
opinion. Are you telling me?
Yeah,
okay.
Go for it.
Unpopular opinion. Oh man, why?
Or you can answer what's something you've learned in the last week.
Oh, something I've learned in the last week. Oh,
Brady
yes.
really struggled with this when he was on my show.
Okay, the Cowboys just re-signed CeeDee Lamb for the higher deal.
I guess that's true. That is true.
So
that was
happy.
News this week.
So happy.
That counts.
Yeah.
I was watching that show Shark Tank the other day. You ever seen
Oh,
Shark Tank?
yes. Yeah.
So I'm watching it the other day, and they're all people.
Yeah.
Like there's no sharks.
There's no sharks. Just
What's the deal with that?
The first time I ever clicked on Shark Tank, or I had a friend that went to click on Shark Tank, I was like, this is not actually about like people in Shark Tanks, and like, I don't know,
I don't know. They seem happy.
Unpopular opinion. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but pineapple on pizza just strikes me the wrong way.
I think that's popular. I think that's a popular opinion.
Is that a popular opinion?
It's just the people that do like it are very loud.
Right.
I think that's what it is.
Real. Super real.
I don't do anything but cheese anyway.
Yeah, I'm just a cheese, maybe pepperoni sometimes.
Again, I'm at the grocery. I was actually at the grocery store the other day, and I saw they had frozen waffles. Oh. And it's like, who knew, right?
Who knew? Frozen waffles, right?
Yeah.
Stick them in the toaster, call it a day.
Great.
I actually made pancakes for the first time the other day.
Really? That's something you learned?
That is something I learned, actually.
It's all coming back.
Didn't go so well. They weren't horrible, but they definitely gonna have to do some tweaking next time on the waffles and pancakes.
What is your theme song?
Theme song. Man, all these on-spot questions.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
This I told you, just throwing you in this.
Just doing it. Okay.
You can ask me one if you want.
What is? Yeah, theme song.
My theme song?
Yeah, let me hear it.
Honestly, I'm so full of myself. I think it would be the song "This Charming Man" by the Smiths. And in fact, I am so full of myself, Aubrey, that I knew that right away because I have made Cam Stewart Jeopardy before, which are all questions about me.
Oh my gosh.
And that was on there.
Narcissistic, maybe a little.
Maybe
a little.
Yes.
It's okay. I feel like we
it.
are all a little bit.
That's why it's the Cam show.
We're all a little bit narcissists, so
yeah.
I firmly believe that. Theme song. We ready? Is that
Archie Eversole?
Is that like we ready? Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Theme song.
I listened to that on the way to high school football games.
Really? That's
that I'm
so
broadcasting.
Funny. That is
so I can really get in the mood.
I'm like really get
awesome. That's a good song.
into it. I feel like that's a good way to get into it.
The guy just passed away.
Oh no, he
Last
did.
Last year or so. Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring you down on that.
Oh no.
Do you have a dumb accomplishment you're really proud of?
Ooh, a dumb accomplishment I'm really proud of. Oh, man. being really dingy, but it being really funny. Like, I don't know
Okay,
if that
that's
makes sense.
An accomplishment.
My friends are always
measurable, tough. Yeah.
my friends are always like, you're so dingy, but it's so funny. It makes us laugh. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I can make people laugh. I don't know if that's accomplishment.
That's good. I mean, yeah, you could do a lot worse than that.
I don't know if that's
accomplishment.
you'd call
make
that an
people laugh.
accomplishment or not.
Can you make me laugh right now?
How do you make a tissue dance?
How?
You put a little boogie into it. You didn't laugh. I thought it was funny. It's an old one. I know you've heard that before. You're trying not to laugh. You're trying not to laugh because it was dumb.
I thought that was a great go-to. I thought that was a great go-to.
Top of the head. Keep that one stacked right on top. Can't forget about it.
Will you incorporate any comedy into the podcast?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm glad to
Absolutely.
hear that.
Yeah.
Will you make any of your guests laugh?
Oh, for sure. I'm actually
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah, I'm interviewing with Matt Jones tomorrow, and we grew up together, so
Yes.
we'll have fun doing that. That'll be a fun one.
So Matt Jones, Baylor linebacker.
Yeah,
You just graduated
absolutely.
from Baylor.
Yeah.
And you both went to Permian High.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it'll be real fun collab. I'm excited about
Do you
it.
have any? I mean, a lot of my audience isn't necessarily Baylor people on this show, but
Right.
do you have any funny Matt Jones stories or something embarrassing that you're going to bring up on the pod?
Honestly, probably, yeah. It's yeah, definitely. It's so funny too because I grew up knowing Matt as Braden, and that's his middle name. It's so funny.
Okay.
People don't know this,
that.
and it's funny because his Instagram.
It's like nothing against the name, but
No.
it's a less like generic
It
name. Matt
is.
Jones, you'll see all the time. Braden Jones, you might
It's
not.
so
Okay.
funny, yeah, because at Permian, like on the field, you knew him as Matt. That's what he went by on the field. But other than that, he always wanted people to call him Braden. So it's so funny when we got to college, nobody still knows that that's like what he went by in high school and like what people knew him as. And it's Matt. It's so funny because I know him as Braden, and every time I talk to him, I'm like, hey Braden, like, and people are like, who's Braden? I'm like, okay, never mind. Never mind.
Never mind. It's just
That's
it's
for a
inside
later
thing.
time. And
Yeah.
it's funny, his Instagram name, I'm pretty sure it's like B.Jones, something like that. And people are like, is that what the B is for? I'm like, yes,
would be
indeed,
it.
that is what that is
That's
for.
some good conductive reasoning by those
Right,
people.
right.
2 more questions for you.
Okay.
First one. Do you remember the chicken sandwich wars?
Yes, yeah, like
Never forget, am I
Popeyes
right?
and Chick-fil-A and all that deal. Yeah,
Never forget.
never forget.
Where can people find the podcast?
Ooh, my podcast?
Yeah, through Rogue Media, right?
I think, through Rogue Media. Absolutely, yeah. Definitely through Rogue Media. You threw me for a loop with the sandwiches and the podcast till I was like, wait a minute.
This is all practice, Aubrey.
Okay.
This is all to keep you on your toes. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I really am, especially with, that first one seems to fit in right perfect.
Absolutely, for
someone
sure.
you grew up with.
Yeah,
and I am
definitely.
excited to see you get behind the scenes with these people,
Absolutely.
make them laugh,
Right.
talk about chicken sandwiches, all of it. Aubrey, thanks so much for coming
Really
on.
excited. Thank you so much for having me, Cam.
Of course. You're going to
So
see a lot
much.
more of Aubrey, probably on this show as well.
Yeah,
I don't think she knows it
absolutely.
yet, but on this show
Oh,
and
super
on the Rogue
excited.
Media Sports Network, all
Yes.
over the place. That's going to
Yeah.
do it for us on the Cam Show today. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, and you can find us, if you're watching on YouTube, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back tomorrow.
Perfect.
Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network.
Thank you.
We are Rogue Media Sports.